Welcome to 13 o'clock live. This is Danny Staten on the Danny Dan blog. I don't really think nobody's come in yet, but I'm going to be getting set up for a second. If anybody's here, welcome. What a day, what a day. I had some activity this week, guys. There we go. I think. Well, guess not, huh? God almighty, I'm having a fun day today, boy. I've been rushing trying to get set up. I went on a live stream earlier. And I stayed on that live stream a little too long, guys. I really did. Let's play some music while I set up some more.
Meet Fair's newest innovation, hydrating milky
Of course,
toner.
it'll have a
48
damn
hours of
commercial on it, so
hydration,
you have to
even
sit through
without a
that for a second.
moisturizer.
When the moon hangs high on the breast of the lake, and the bite of the wind is like a slap in the face, a legend of horror lurks in the haze. It's Bigfoot, a giant of a creature, all covered with hair, as tall as a timber and strong as a bear. Y'all better not go walking out there with Bigfoot. Bigfoot's coming, gonna get you, gonna get you. Bigfoot's coming, so you better watch out. Lock your doors and bolt your windows. Bigfoot's all around. Bigfoot's coming, gonna get you, gonna get you. Bigfoot's coming, so you better watch out. Lock your doors and bolt your windows. Bigfoot's all around.
Welcome to 13 o'clock live. This is Danny Staten on the damn blog. How's everybody doing tonight? I don't see nobody in the chat, but I see people in there, so be sure to type in a comment so I know who's joining me tonight. It's about time to play that theme song if I can find it. You know, my favorite theme song. The one by Pat McCormick. Yeah, I would have had all this stuff looked up earlier, but like I said before, I was hanging out on a live stream with some friends of mine. And, well, I kind of let time ride up on me tonight. So it won't be long. We'll get the show started about 13 o'clock, about 1 o'clock a.m. if you're on the Eastern time zone. Welcome, welcome, Dark Angel. Hey, what's up, girl? So this is my friend Pat McCormick doing Risk Thrill Factor, the theme for 13 o'clock live. about that theme song. Do y'all like that theme song? Be sure to let me know in the chat. Yeah, I was reading in the comments, this bro gamer guy. I'm not sure who that is, bro. But in my opinion, some Bigfoot stuff is a serious freaking hoax. And if anybody does a hoax, you can count on me to call them to freak out on this channel. If you check in the videos, one of the recent videos I put up on the Daily Dan blog, I have called out a freaking hoaxer. Believe it or not, I even put the goof's name in the description. So you'll be sure to know who the hoaxer was. But there are a lot of real evidence out there. There's a lot of things that lead people to believe that something lives out there, something creeps around, something weird and something strange. As a matter of fact, here in a little bit, in probably about 12, 14 minutes, I'm going to play a video for y'all. And this lady's going to describe Bigfoot and Native American history and understanding Bigfoot. And maybe y'all will pick up a little bit on it. But until then, this is my friend Marty, the War Horse, doing a song I requested he make. So it means a lot to me. He did this just for me, guys. You like that, Dark Angel? That's my friend Marty. They call him the War Horse. And I'll drop his Turkey Outlaw channel link in the description a little bit later on. It's good to see all y'all guys join me. I knew everybody would want to hear that one tonight. So I'm going to spin that Bigfoot song while I wait on the 1 o'clock hour to get here. The one from earlier tonight I started playing. I did not finish the song. So I figured I'd give it a run through. You'll like this one. It's some Bigfoot tunes that I dug up.
When the moon hangs high on the breast of the lake, and the bite of the wind is like a slap in the face, a legend of horror lurks in the haze. It's Bigfoot. A giant of a creature, all covered with hair, as tall as a timber and strong as a bear. Y'all better not go walking out there with Bigfoot. Bigfoot's coming, gonna get you, gonna get you. Bigfoot's coming, so you better watch out. Lock your doors and bolt your windows. Bigfoot's on traders and trappers to the image on Indian walls. From the Bear Paw Mountains of Montana to the sides of the Great Shasta Stars. From the Flatheads to Blackfeet and the
Trash Bondo in the house!
seen them all. And when the sun goes down in the northwest woods, if you listen, you can hear him call. Bigfoot's coming, gonna get you, gonna get you. Bigfoot's coming, so you better watch out. Lock your doors and bolt your windows. Bigfoot's on the prowl. Bigfoot's coming, gonna get you, gonna get you. Bigfoot's coming, so you better watch out. Lock your doors and bolt your windows. Bigfoot's on the prowl. Bigfoot's on the prowl.
It's time to get the show started, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 13th hour. Welcome to 13 o'clock live. I'm your host, Daily Dan. Today I'm going to be presenting a small lecture, provided I can actually get the camera set up enough that y'all can see it. It's going to be like a video format. You know, usually I just play vocal lectures where you can hear somebody talking and help me keep an eye out for anything going on out here. But today I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to throw a lecture at you. And I have trouble pronouncing this lady's name, I swear I do. And it's, let me see, hold on, y'all. How would you say this lady's name? Desiree for sure, but the last name is SMELCER? SMELCER? Desiree SMELCER. She's a doctor, actually, and she's a head of a library, so she knows what she's doing. She's a Native American lady. She did a lot of research into Bigfoot, and she presents a very good lecture. I listened to it earlier, and I found it very stimulating in the world of Bigfoot stuff, that is. So, how's everybody doing tonight? Be sure to let me know in the chat. Be sure to check out people in the chat. Be sure to check out my friend Thrash Bondo. I'm going to play some videos of his in the after show. You know, the way we do this here is, for the first hour, I do a pretty normal Bigfoot show, or a pretty normal paracryptid show, whichever you prefer to call it. I talk about Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, and other cryptids from around the world sometime. Today, I'm focusing on Bigfoot, and most of my shows have been focused on Bigfoot, and I promise you in the future, I will check out things other than a Bigfoot. It's true. I'm going to do that. And you know, I love music, so I'm going to play you some cool songs, chill out for a while, and after the lecture, I'll finish up the show with a little talking about Bigfoot and cryptids and see what y'all thought about the lecture, get your opinions. And then in the after show, which starts at about an hour after, you know, my show, 13 o'clock live, is actually an hour show. It runs about an hour. But I end the show and I keep the stream going. And then I whip out some videos from some friends of mine. I whip out YouTube channels that I watch. I play some of their stuff. I play some more music. I sit out, I chill, I talk for a while until I get so tired or so wasted I can't continue anymore. So let's play one more song and then we'll key up that lecture. Sound cool?
Open your eyes, young potato. This is your future.
I love Reese's commercials.
Access to quality
And then we got
care
this bit.
may be closer than you
Okay.
think with United Healthcare.
One day at midnight,
This is dedicated to Michael Harper.
the moon had no light, but I could see this big old Sasquatch. Said he was top-notch at playing hopscotch way up in a tree. So I bet my wristwatch that big old Sasquatch could never play hopscotch way up in a tree. Now there's a Sasquatch up in a tree crotch. He's got my wristwatch and he's laughing at me. I told the Mounties throughout the counties to put some bounties all over BC and stop that Sasquatch from playing hopscotch till he gives my wristwatch right back to me. Then Corporal Savern, he found a tavern in an empty cavern where shine, and he found a Sasquatch drinking blue black, wearing a wristwatch, looking just like mine. So he asked the Sasquatch where he got the wristwatch, and that big old Sasquatch, he began to lie. Said he got the wristwatch while playing hopscotch up in a tree crotch with a stupid old guy. So the Mountie told him he could never hold him. He'd have to scold him for doing no harm. So they played some hopscotch until the Sasquatch had the Mountie's wristwatch on his other arm. Now all the Mounties throughout the counties, they're placing bounties all over the land. And that big old Sasquatch, he won't feel top-notch when they get their Sasquatch like they get their man. 'Cause if that Sasquatch keeps playing hopscotch, there won't be a wristwatch for miles around. 'Cause he'll play hopscotch till he gets your wristwatch up in that tree crotch, and he'll never come down. So don't play hopscotch near any old tree crotch until that old watch stealing, big feeling, hopscotch and Sasquatch is found.
I hope you enjoyed that. Took me a while to find some good tunes. I'm going to see if I can get these cameras set up now. You have to bear with me for 1 second, because like I said, right now I'm technologically inept. It's true. Very soon I'll have the laptops and all that cool stuff. And I probably should have waited to start live streaming until I actually got all set up with that cool stuff.
It's easier for patrons to remember. I am.
And I'm going to do a test real quick just to make sure I can get this camera set up so y'all can see what's going on with this goofy guy here, right? Okay. I think that's going to work, guys.
Stuff we have coming up just in March on Tuesday at 6:30. Sharon Gensler is coming to talk about how to garden for your whole garden in a way that improves the health of the soil.
Does that look good, guys? And can you hear it okay? Let me know in the comments below.
Coming up with that on Tuesday. On Friday, we're having a tropical island party right here at the library. 6:30 to 8, all sorts of things. Especially for elementary school kids. But I'm pretty sure that everybody could have a fun time there. There's simulated surfing. We have erupting volcanoes. We're going to be bowling with coconuts. Hula dancing, limbo.
What time again?
That is 6:30 to 8 on Friday.
Okay. I'm from South Hadley. I can make it up.
And on the following Tuesday, Preston Heller, the mentalist, is coming. Right here in this room. That's a week and a few days from now. This guy will read your mind. So this is not something you want to miss. Yeah, in case you forget. He's there to help. We're pleased that we're able to broadcast tonight on BNC TV, Bernardston Northfield Community TV. Thank you, Tyler Borgo, for being here. But really excited to have Desi SMELCER here today to present on Bigfoot. She grew up in Humboldt County, California, in the Pacific Northwest, Bigfoot country, and she has experiences that influenced her, inspired her to go on and study anthropology, history, and get a library science degree. And so now she presents on the history and culture of Bigfoot, including Native American.
Specifically, I'm talking about Native American stories and kind of go from there.
Awesome. So please help me welcome DESIREE.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming on this really warm Saturday afternoon. But I'm Desi. My real name is DESIREE, but I go by Desi, like Desi or Nez. It's usually easier for patrons to remember. I am Matt's counterpart down in South Hadley. Just so you know, my parents were deaf, so some of the experiences I had when I was younger was because I'm pretty sure Bigfoot thought it was only hearing children and was confused. And I'll get into that when I get further into my presentation. So like I said, my first language is sign language, my second language is English, my third language is Spanish. So sometimes I talk fast because I'm thinking in sign language and the language is quicker. So my apologies. My undergrad is how I came out here to New England. I went to Wheaton College for undergrad, and when I was 5 years old, I had an experience, which I will talk about a little bit later, and it got me interested in anthropology. I wanted to understand what I saw, and that was the only way I could figure out, not necessarily science, because the science end of it I wasn't so much interested in, as I knew there was oral traditions around this creature, and I was interested in that, which I will start to talk about briefly. How many of you have had an experience? Have any of you had an encounter? Okay. For the majority of people, it is in the realm of cryptozoology, so it's something that is quote-unquote unknown. But there's a lot of creatures out there that are being discovered. The majority of the oceans are completely not even been explored yet. So we're going to be fighting more creatures as time goes on. So let's get started. So understanding, when I talk about the history and culture of Bigfoot, I'm specifically talking about Native American tradition and encounters that people have had prior to 1950, okay? There is a lot of different names that what we call Bigfoot goes by. Sasquatch is the Salish word, it's a play on Salish word, which is the Tlingit, which is up in the Pacific Northwest, Haida, etc., word for what we consider Bigfoot. So it's not regional. There are encounters in all over the United States except for Hawaii. Although Bigfoot have been known to be swimming, they don't swim that far. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind. The United States itself is very forested. About a third of the United States is forested. Not all of it is has people there. Not all of it is someplace that humans have gone. And I just think it's something to keep in mind. See, most of the Northeast, it's a part of the South, and up into the Pacific Northwest. Where I'm from in Northern California, most of California is forested except when you get about halfway. Where I'm from, and this was the best picture I could find, I'm from Riedel, Scotia area here. The county itself is 2.5 million acres, but over half of it is actually covered in woods, and there are still parts of the woods that are so remote, people haven't been there in at least 100 years. Prior to that, it might have been beaver trappers that have gone into it, into different valleys, but there are big swaths of forested land that people just haven't seen. When you look at the population of Humboldt County is actually slightly less than the population of Franklin County, which I thought was kind of interesting. There's about 33 people per square mile. Look, about 58% of the county is forested. Now, the reason why I bring that up is it's typically Bigfoot seems to be found in forested areas. And that's why I wanted to kind of just point that out. Massachusetts, 53% is forested. You can see where Quabbin is. And a good chunk of it is devoted to forest, very specifically set aside for ecology, but also set aside for parkland that's in like cities, hence the some of the urban and rural parkland. So about 3.5 million acres. So the county of Franklin is 464,000 acres, but if you sat down and you did the math, there's about 300 people per square mile. So compared to Humboldt, if you're standing in a square mile and putting the amount of people that you would see, you're going to see people standing around in Franklin County in that square mile. Where in Humboldt, you might be able to yell really, really loud and hear someone yell back, but that's about it. So just you can kind of understand the remoteness of it. The size of the county I grew up in, the square compass essentially is Berkshire, Franklin, Hampden, Hampshire, and about half of Worcester County. So imagine that size, and then the population of only Franklin County. Okay? I'm just trying to get you to get an idea of just how remote kind of that area is. It's about 5.5 to 6 hours north of San Francisco also. So if there's fog in Eureka, California, you got to drive up. Because you drive up, there's actually a lot more encounters because of the highway that goes up that's very remote. So that's something else, because we're driving up at like dusk, essentially, when we get there, or 1 or 2 in the morning to head down to San Francisco. So what's in a name? Some of the traditional names for Bigfoot, for the Algonquin tribe, the Oha means wild man, Hoopa, the Oma, boss of the woods. The other Hoopa word, which I always have trouble pronouncing, but Wak, Pak, Kul, Mah. And it just means giant, so I would say Oma instead. And most of them do too. The Iroquois, it means Sinokwa is what I'm going to use for when I tell you a couple of the stories. It means stone giant. The Micmac is the Gugu. You've also heard some of the French call it the Rougarou is another word you've heard, which is a play actually on the Micmac that was originally found. And then the Yurok tribe, it's the Oma. It's believed the Yurok speak in Salish also, but there's not very many Yurok left to actually kind of work on their language. My specialty for anthropology was actually languages, specifically looking at sign language as ASL as a culture. So I'm interested in where these words came from. The part that amazed me was out of the 57 tribes in North America, most of them have 1 or 2 words that deal specifically with what we would call Bigfoot or Sasquatch. None of the tribes either represent or talk about something that does not exist. All questions we'll do at the end, okay? So that's something that I always thought was interesting. So when you see, for example, on the totem poles, you'll see, usually it's a female Bigfoot represented. She has these long breasts, and there's usually a basket that she'll stick on the back that she sticks bad kids in, and she'll walk away with them. And she'll end up, they think that she eats them, but that's just the old tradition around it. So I remember being a kid and my parents saying to me in sign language, be careful in the woods or Bigfoot will eat you. So I'm like, okay, I'll just stay here.
It worked.
It worked. It did work. So some of the Native American oral traditions from the Northeast, the Iroquois stone giant, these are some of the pictures I found from the Northeast Sasquatch Research Association. This one's from the U.S. Archives called My Uncle. And one of the stories, the Genosequa is similar in folklore to the Wendigo. So the Wendigo is if a Indian became a cannibal, it would eat someone. It's usually during the dead of winter like this, where it's a bad winter, where winter keeps recurring and keeps coming up, and it turns into a Wendigo. So the problem is with the Wendigo is there's no fullness attached to that eating. So once you eat, you want to eat more, and you want to eat more until you just become this savage beast. So at the time, so their oral tradition is the Genosequa, or the stone coat giants, had run over the country. They fought a great battle and held people in subjugation for a long time. The stone giants were so ravenous that they devoured the people in almost every town in the country. The family separated from the others and went to the northwest. The stone giants decided to leave. The family was left to seek habituation, and rules for humanity were forgotten. So they ate raw flesh of animals, and they practiced rolling themselves in the sand. This meant that their bodies were covered in hard skin, and these people became giants and dreadful invaders of the country. They were the holder of the heavens. The holder of the heavens led them into a deep ravine because he didn't like what they were doing. And it was near Ogundaga. And they rolled stones on top of them in the middle of the night, but one escaped. And since then, the stone coat giants left the country and sought asylum in regions to the further north. So that's their oral tradition about what we know as Bigfoot or Sasquatch. The next one I'm going to talk about is the Micmac tribe, which is north of us. So if the stone giants went north, this is where they would have headed. The Micmac, they're known as, they call it the Chino, or the devil cannibal. Are we sensing a theme here? The origin of the Chinoo is when this great big witch was conquered by smaller witches that could kill the great witch, the giant witch, and turn him into a Chinoo. He can fight, and they get ready to fight. They suddenly become really tall, and as tall as trees. Their weapons are the trees themselves that they would pull up out of the ground and throw at you or rip out. And they just had enormous great strength. The strength depends on the quantity or size of the piece of ice which lives in their heart. The little piece of ice looks like a full-figured human with hands and feet and a head, and every section of it's perfect. The female Chinoo is even more powerful than the male Chinoo. And they make a noise like a roaring lion, but is sharper and shriller and more frightful. And they live somewhere in the far, far cold north of northern Canada. So I thought that was always interesting. So I want to show you a little bit about where I grew up, and these are the stories I heard growing up, because in Humboldt County, once you kind of had dinner and relaxed and you're chatting with friends and just kicking back, you talk about sometimes some of your experiences, and it's not just, it's actually a very frequent occurrence for people to have encounters in Northern California. The majority of the population lives in very, very rural areas. So to get from one place to the next, it's not like parts of New England where it's just one town into the next. You can see everything. Where I grew up, there's a town and then lots of farmland and then another town. So to get from point A to point B, you're going through lots of backwoods and lots of farmland. So it ends up being a little different. We have grizzly bears, which is why the building that you see in the lower right-hand corner, that's to keep grizzly bears out. Typically, the men would keep their belongings in there, but if there were bad weather or things were people were getting attacked, like there were lots of tribal warfare up there too, they would hide in there and they would be able to not worry so much. So the big thing that they would do was salmon fishing on the Klamath River. For those of you who like going boating in rapids, it's a class 5 river. I, as a kid, would go down it with duct tape around my glasses and an inner tube. So, how times have changed. But they're fishing with nets, and they go out in the rivers, and they also go out to what the jetty is, which is essentially where a lot of large rocks are, where the sand is. Like, you ever seen Goonies? That's the best way to describe it. Along the beach, you see all these large rocks. That's how it looks. So a little bit about the Oma. Among the tribes of the Trinity River is a legend of the Oma. The Oma were giants and the leader of the pre-human race. The Oma was expelled from the country it inhabited near the mouth of the Klamath River for disobeying and offending the Creator, and a curse was pronounced upon him, for not even his descendants could return to the land. So the Hupa, which is also, I got the two confused, I apologize. I'll show you Hupa in a second. These are the Yurok with the Oma. They live within, they're right next to each other, the Hupa and the Yurok. One slightly further inland, which is the Hupa. They still have a reservation there, and the Hupa reservation is right next to where the Patterson-Gimlin film was done. For those of you who don't know what that is, you might have heard of it because it's when you've seen a picture of Bigfoot kind of like walking in this grainy 1964 video, and you see it turn and looking and then kind of hurrying off. That's where that was filmed. For the Yurok, the Oma, in the old days when women learned never to leave their acorn meal unattended, they would spend all day pounding on these acorns near the big rocks to make acorn meal, and they would take it down to the beach and leach it because there's actually an acid in there that makes it so you can't eat it. They would leave it in the sun to dry. When they would come back, it'd be gone. the women would find big footprints in the sand where they left the meal, and they knew the giant had taken it. The giant likes Indian food and knows to wait until the acorn is leached to take the bitterness out of it. They believe that they liked the sound of women pounding the acorn and knew it was time to come get the food. Exactly. Chow call. I don't know. To me, it looks like they have the similar stories about when they would leave the salmon out to dry over the smoke huts. They would come out and they would find it missing. So when I talked to some of my friends, not elders, I don't know any of the elders, but when I talked to some of my friends, they said that that's usually why they actually stay there and camp overnight, so they know that no one is going to come take their stuff. Oh, there's the hoop out here. Like I said, it's a very similar setup with the net and the way they fished. I'm also president of the South Hadley Historical Society, so I know this really random stuff. When you go across what's called the lower bridge in South Hadley, there's actually 3 long strips of essentially looks like sandbar but it's a little bit of rocks. Those are man-made. Those were made by the local natives there in South Hadley prior to 1620s. And that's actually, it was made so well, they actually have the bridge on top of them. But that's what they would use to create nets to catch all of the shad run, to catch their fish. So they would do the barriers with wooden stakes. I actually have at home, which I didn't bring with me, a similar hat. Their weaving was so tight that it was prized in the area because you'd be able to keep water in it, and you'd be able to actually cook in them too. So just to look at that. So some of the historical counters I want to talk about, because some of these are from personal journals. Some of them are going to be from newspaper clippings. The only problem with some of the newspaper clippings is some of them were actually on April 1st. So you have to I take them with a grain of salt, but some of them ring true. Do you know what I mean? So when you read something, you go, there's some truth to that. So that's why I wanted to share with you some of this. So the first one that I have found and did some research on was Samuel Champlain, when he was on the St. Lawrence River in 1603. He was a French explorer, and he was going there specifically to look for trade routes for fur. In his book, DESIREE, don't ask me to speak French, that's a word I cannot do, written in his first voyage, he talked about the Gugu of the Micmac tribe, and he actually met someone from the Gugu tribe. It was supposed to be a hideous woman who was taller than a ship and carries a hunting pouch to put her human victims in so she can eat them later. The Gugu is described to have big hands and hairy faces like a bear, but the face is flat with no snout and no visible ears, which you will hear people talk about Bigfoot similarly. They're supposed to whistle shrilly and live around parts of Quebec and New Brunswick. So maybe they're the precursors to the French Canadians that came down. I'm kidding. I'm teasing you. So that's one of the first encounters. Next one is Captain John Smith in the Susquehanna tribe in 1694. He wrote a book called The History of Virginia, and he specifically talks about the Anasties. The subject, they were giant in proportion to the English. Their left, they said they measured their calf, and it was 1 yard around. Just 1 yard around. The rest of the limbs were comparable and proportional. But he was the goodliest man he ever behold. He was kind, he was generous, but he didn't understand him. The tribe were in a series of wars with the Iroquois League, and their population and identity disappeared. And it was believed that the rest of the tribe merged with the surrounding area. This one I thought was interesting. Northern Vermont, in 1759, the French and Indian War. There was a longer disputed border. Major Robert Rogers encountered a bear and threw objects at him, and the natives of Vermont called it Slippery Skin, which I thought was an interesting name. Next one I want to talk about is Governor Jonas Gulasha, I think it's pronounced, from 1813. And I wasn't able to find a documented counter, but however, because of his encounter with his re-election campaign, he specifically said he was going to rid the state of slippery skin. And that was actually part of his motto, his campaign motto. And he wanted to personally shoot the creature. So when the creature was sighted in Maidstone in northern Vermont on the Canadian border, he traveled to the township with a hunting party. And the accounts state that he rubbed female bear scent all over his body and clothes to try to lure the creature out of the woods. I think they might have tried that on finding Bigfoot at some point. Unfortunately, he was unsuccessful in luring the creature out of the woods and shooting the creature, and also in being reelected. So that's his book. In the Boston Daily Times in 1839, Robert Lincoln, he was an agent for Western New York Lumber Company. And that's the other thing that I wanted to mention. I grew up in a town called Scotia, and that was a lumber town. It was a town of 1,000 people, and it was specifically owned by the Pacific Lumber Company at the time. It's now defunct. It's no longer a town where to live there, you have to work there. The Pacific Lumber Company is no longer in existence because it was bought out by a guy from Texas because it had too much free cash. And that's when you start hearing about clear cutting of redwood trees in the mid-90s. The population that lived there was upset because we wanted jobs in 20 years, but the guy, quote unquote, he who has the gold wins. So you can figure out how I feel about that. But the Boston Daily Times, he was seen as he owned a lumber company. He traveled to this timber camp in Western New York because 2 employees saw a huge monster in the form of a man, but he was taller and stouter, and he covered in long hair and was frightening looking. The hunting party of 21 people were gathered and included some native men. The natives told Lincoln the creature was powerful but harmless. They just wanted to see what they were doing. So, but they didn't listen to them, and they said, okay, we'll track it for you. So when the creature found Lincoln, he took out a spyglass and he viewed the creature. He said it appeared between 8 to 9 feet tall, very athletic, and more like a beast standing erect than a man. The beast was captured and it howled for hours on end and did not accept food or drink for 3 days. When the creature did eventually eat, it became quiet and sullen ever since. So it became resigned. Lincoln noted that the creature was exhibited in New York, but there's no mention of what happened to the creature after the expedition. And there is talk of a couple of different Bigfoots at different points in history being caught, but nothing knows what happens after a certain expedition happened. One of my favorite stories is actually from The Wilderness Hunter, and it's a story that Theodore Roosevelt heard secondhand. And it's kind of creepy, but it's fun. So this is about 1880s that he heard it, but he put it in his book, which was published in 1893 specifically. So Roosevelt shared a story about a fur trapper called Bowman. At the time, he was traveling with a partner. This event occurred when Bowman was a young man traveling with a partner at what is now Wyoming-Montana border. These trappers were interested in a pass that there was supposed to be many beaver, but had an evil reputation. The rumor was that a solitary trapper was slain by a wild beast and was half eaten. The remains were found by some mining prospectors that had met him the previous night, and at that point was still very much alive. The story goes that these 2 hunters, including Bowman, set up camp and left to set up their beaver traps for the day. When they returned to camp, something had rummaged around in their camp and scattered things about like a bear would. So they found the footprints and noted that it looked like a bear, which you will hear people talk about finding Bigfoot tracks and they have to determine if it's like a bear or not. Because if you see a bear step, it'll sometimes step into its own footprint, creating a longer footprint. So the bear, but the thing that was strange to them, it looked like the bear was walking around on 2 legs. They laughed about it and went to sleep. The men woke up in the middle of the night to a wild beast odor, and Bowman caught the silhouette of a great body out in the darkness. He shot at the threatening shadow, and he must have missed because the shadow went smashing back into the woods. So they stayed up all night with a fire as big as they could get it blaring because they were scared. Let's see here. They decided because they were scared they were going to leave the next day. But they first had to go to check their traps. So the next morning they went and started to collect their traps, and they went together because they were scared. But because of how, you know how when you're scared in the middle of the night, in the beginning of the day, I don't know why I was so scared. That must have been ridiculous. So they decided to split up because it would cut their time in half. One would go look at the traps, who was Bowman, who went and looked at the traps, and this other guy went back to camp to collect everything together and get ready to go. Bowman found 3 beavers in one of the traps, so it took him several hours to prepare the pelts. When he finally returned to camp, he shouted for his friend, but there was no answer. The fire had gone out, and there was just a little thin line of smoke curling from the fire. Bowman found his friend. His body was splayed out. His friend's body was still warm, but there were 4 large fang marks in his neck. The tracks of the man and the beast told the story. His friend had sat down on a log with his back to the forest, facing the fire to keep warm. He was snuck up upon and killed. Bowman, utterly unnerved and believing the creature to be half man and half devil, abandoned everything but his rifle and struck off as fast as he could down the pass, not halting until he reached the meadows beyond the forest, and he kept going all night until he felt he was beyond the reach of pursuit. So I love that story, but it's creepy as heck. There was one encounter here in Webster, Mass. that I thought was interesting. This was in the Boston Daily newspaper, but this was actually July 16th. And it's believed that, for political, social, and business circles were stirred up yesterday by a report of a wild man seen in a berry pasture on Orchard Road. It is becoming established that the wild man will show up year after year to go to this berry pasture. But it frightened Miss Paul Lampshire and their children who happened to be berry picking and saw the creature. I guess it startled them by yelling a whoop. The family was now terrified and ran as fast as they could to town, but the group of men who went looking for the wild man could not find it. So those are some of the historical newspaper clippings that I thought were pretty interesting, at least for most of the area around here. So to talk a little bit about what I encountered growing up, this is the Eel River. Northern California, where you would go swimming and fishing, looks a lot like this. There's a nice ridge line up top that you can see that you can walk around, and you get these beautiful views. Some of the times you'll have sheer cliffs that you can walk up near, and if you sit down, you can just sit and watch, and sometimes you'll see black bears go by, deer in the valley, sheep. It's pretty cool to just sit and watch. Yeah, thank you. It is. Like it's a personal thing. Yes, thank you. I did it. Where I'm from is 250 miles north of San Francisco. This is kind of gets you to me, much younger. But this is the town of Scotia I was telling you about, which is the lumber town. And this is the town of Riedel, which essentially was the place the lumbermen went and hung out once they got paid. And there was a lot of prostitution, a lot of saloons, and it was almost like the bedroom community for Scotia. But that was up until the 60s, and then it kind of changed. But my family had, for at least on my mother's side, they had been there from the founding of the town. So my grandfather was a barber. It's one of those town of 1,000 people. You knew everyone. Everyone knew you. The library that I went to growing up was the size of this room. But I went there every day after school, because that was my thing. So my first encounter, and these are some pictures of my family and me in the area, just so you can kind of get an idea of what it looked like. See how you can't see essentially beyond the front of the woods? It's all like that. So if there's something back there, you can't see it. My grandparents, when they would come out with us, they were hearing, so there would be lots talking, just normal talking, whatnot. But it was just my parents. We would play at the river. The deepest the river got was maybe 1.5 feet. So it wasn't a river as we think of as a river. It was more of a creek. And there was a lot of like minnows and just smaller fish that you could go hunt fishing for. So when we pretended to swim, i.e. dragging ourselves along the bottom of the water with our hands, my parents would usually fish. One of the things me and my sister liked to do, I'm the oldest of 4, but the only other person who would have been there would have been my first sister, Bernadette. We would clack rocks together. It was something we enjoyed doing, which as we found out later in life, that apparently that's a noise that's familiar to Bigfoot. Just the sound of children was also something that is encountered and heard by people when they think of Bigfoot and they encounter Bigfoot, as opposed to a sound of adults. So I think those sounds initially is what drew this particular Bigfoot in. Kings Range National Conservation Area is right next to Edwardsburg, and it's a couple more pictures here. There's me as a little person, but it's just a vast, remote area that no one really ever goes to. It's literally dirt roads to get out there. So it's mostly for hikers, hunters, and campers. And it's far and few in between, especially now because the majority of it's actually most likely been taken over by Mexican kingpins for marijuana, because that's a well-known area for marijuana in Northern California. It's part of what's called the Emerald Triangle. So if you know anything about the Emerald Triangle, you know what I'm talking about. My encounter happened at night. We had all gone to sleep. We were in the tent. You know the old Green Army tents where you could put the flaps up but still have the netting down? I was on a cot. I know everyone was in there. And I had happened to roll over and I saw something squatting next to the died down fire. What was squatting next to the died down fire, I was kind of looking at it, and it had a stick and it was poking at the fire. And I could see its face and I could see in front of it. It looked like a human except really furry. And I remember not being afraid because I'd seen bears, I'd seen cats, etc., but it wasn't something that scared me. So I literally rolled over and went back to sleep. There was a 1994 earthquake that was 7.2. I did the same thing. So that'll give you kind of my idea what I'm like. Maybe I need to be more scared, but I'm not. But anyway, so I rolled over and went back to sleep. The next morning, my parents were signing, "What's with the big feet? Why are we seeing these big footprints around the campfire area?" And they kept saying, "Bare, no toes." That was like the sign, essentially. And I thought that was, so I'm like, okay, so I did see something last night, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And it wasn't until I got older that I heard this term Bigfoot, and to me it sounded correct. Okay? So I didn't have a word for it when I was 5. So as I got older, I ended up going to, like I said, Wheaton College for anthropology, trying to figure out what the heck I saw. Got interested in evolution, etc. My other degree in history was in American history and European history. My minors, women's studies, Greek and Latin. I'm a big dork. I just like figuring out everything so I can answer that why question. Obviously, I'm into the why question. So just a little bit more about Edwardsburg. Here's Kings Mountain Range down in here. This is Highway 101, which is a 2-lane highway going into Northern California. So this is sparse as it is. But anyway, you'll find that the majority of, when you're looking at this, you'll see the majority of the county is either federal or state parks. And they're not 1 or 2, they're a couple thousand upon thousands of miles. So, my second encounter was in February 2010. I had flown out there and couldn't take a flight up to Eureka, which is what you try to do, because there was too much fog. So I had to rent a car, and it's always that gambling toss flying out there, because either you're going to be in Northern California in 12 hours from Hartford, or you're going to end up driving for another 5.5 hours at the end of that 12-hour flight. So I had to drive, and so in turn I had to drive back because it's actually cheaper for you to take the car to Humboldt County and drive back than it is for you to try to leave it there because they're like, it's too remote. You can't just leave the car there. So anyway, so I'm driving down. It's about between 1 and 2 in the morning. And I see something squatting. I don't know why Bigfoot's always squatting when I see him, but he seems to do that. I say he in quotes because neither one that I saw had mammary glands. So I'm assuming it's a he. Squatting outside the road, and it sees me. And it sees me stop, and I'm staring at it. It's staring at me. And the only thing I could think of in the back of my mind was, don't show teeth. I waved at a Bigfoot. That was my only thought. So I'm waving at this thing, and I'm thinking to myself, get out of the car, get out of the car, get out of the car, get out of the car. You want to meet this thing, you want to meet this thing, get out of the car. My second thought is, you have to catch a plane, Des. You have 3 hours to catch a plane. You got to get to San Francisco. So I'm debating with myself, and this thing's looking at me and looking further down the road. I'm like, what is he looking at? Looking at me? Further down the road. So I'm like, I got to catch the plane because I'm not made of money. So I end up by, I waved. I don't know why I'm thinking waving's working because this is a cultural thing. It's looking at me like I'm nuts. So I'm like, okay, but I figured it was some interaction. It was something to show that I was okay. I think it saw I was female from the light of the car because I don't dress for anyone but myself at 2 in the morning, so I had kind of lower cut shirt and was just trying to be comfortable. So I think it could tell I was female. So I took off down the road, and about 30 yards down in this slight ravine, you can just see it down in here. So Bigfoot was slightly in front of this, like over here. There was deer down in here when I turned and looked. So it was a hungry Bigfoot. So it's a good thing I didn't get out of the car. That was my first thought. And then my second thought was, oh, so I'm driving down. I finally get to Leggett, which happens to have one of the few all-night gas stations. And I went into the little bathroom, and it's one of those creepy bathrooms that has a light that kind of flickers. And I'm staring at myself in the mirror that's slightly warped, going, I just saw what I thought I saw. I know I just saw what I thought I saw when I was 5. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I can't tell the guy at the front desk because he'll think I'm nuts. So that was my whole thought process. So I'm on a plane headed back to Hartford going, I can't wait to tell my husband. I can't wait to tell my husband. Why wasn't he there? Damn it. Because he doesn't believe me. He thinks I'm insane. But it's exciting for me to say and show it was solidifying for me to say, okay, I know what I saw when I was 5 years old. And I can say, I know this thing exists. It's not a bear. It's not a mountain lion or cougar that I saw. It was a Bigfoot. Okay?
Okay.
So these are some of the books that I have picked up over time that I have found very useful in some of my readings. There's also another one called New England, Sasquatch or Bigfoot in New York. And it's a state book. And I found them interesting. So hopefully this has been interesting to you and has given you a little bit of a bigger perspective about the history of Bigfoot. And it's not just a modern phenomena. It's something that's been going on for a long time. Thank you very much.
I hope y'all enjoyed that. I really did. And I thought I would at least present it to y'all and to get your opinions on what you thought about it. Be sure to let me know in the comments below what you thought about this lady. Now to get back to something a little weird. While this was on and y'all were listening to the lady talk, and did you hear that? I started hearing a strange whistling noise. I don't know if it's picking up on the camera. Somebody let me know in the comments below in the chat if you can hear anything. That is really weird sound. And I'm pretty sure it's probably some of the normal wildlife you'd find here in South Carolina. Maybe. very weird sounds tonight. If you're watching this back later and you just finished, DESIREE SMELCER, and I hope I pronounced not slaying her name, gave a very interesting lecture on Bigfoot, some Native American history, and actually told the story of her own sighting. So if you're watching this back later, be sure to let me know in the comments below what you thought about it. So I guess it's about time to sit back and chill out. Find another song to play. You have to forgive me for a minute. I'm intrigued with the noise I'm hearing. As you know, recently we had some weird activity. One of the neighbors said they saw a large hairy creature in the woods. The kids described it as a bear, but they also said it was up on its hind legs and running, and I don't call that a bear. I went down and did a little investigation and found a few hair samples. I wish somebody in the chat would let me know if you're hearing what I'm hearing. Is my chat even working? Jeez. Oh, that's some strangeness right there. Well, let's just slow it down a little bit and play a song.
We were young and wild and free.
Once again, I want to thank everybody for joining me for 13 o'clock live. I'm about to end the show, 13 o'clock live, and I'm going to stick around on the live stream for a little while. I'm going to play a couple of songs. I'm going to throw out some really cool videos by some of my friends, like the guy in the chat right now. You can check him out. His link's in the chat, by the way. Thrash Pondo Ponds, one of my best friends on YouTube. So we'll play one more song, and then we'll get started on some of that.
It's called Eagle Mount Road. Out in the hills you can hear the coyotes crying. Thunder and lightning red through the sky. Up around the bend, Granddaddy rode in. You think you're all alone, but there's something in the trees. Something so dangerous it'll bring you to your knees. You fire with your rifle, the barrel's still hot, and out comes a Sasquatch from hell. Breath breathing, firing hot. Up on Eagle Mountain Road, my granddaddy fought a Sasquatch, I am told. Up on Eagle Mountain Road, my granddaddy fought a Sasquatch, I am told.
How you like that, ladies and gentlemen? I love these little Bigfoot songs. I found quite a bit of them to share with you guys over the next few shows I do. Yeah, like I said before, my good friend Thrash Pondo Ponds is in the chat. Be sure to look him up. One day in the future, when we ever get our stuff together, we'll start doing a show where we talk about classic TV and movies and the really cool stuff, you know? Like our friend Dave says, what? What? The good stuff. Did you hear that? Let me know in the chat. I swear to God, we've had some action around here lately, and I feel like I ought to be out here with a camera making a video instead of sitting here doing a live stream. I may have to stay up late tonight and check things out. I was looking through Thrash Pondo Pond's channel for a little something we can play. Where are them cool jokes?
What do you think of Will Smith in my...
There we go. I found some Thrash Pondo Ponds for you guys. So we'll get him set up and we'll let him take the show over for the next few minutes. And I hope it's a good video. I picked one last time I didn't play too great, so I hope I picked a different one this time.
Collection of the top 10 worst dad jokes ever conceived of. And tonight's is going to be Academy Awards related themed. Strap yourself in, kids. It's going to be a bumpy ride. And as always, in no particular order. Number 10. What's Will Smith's favorite cordial? A shot on the rocks. Ooh, next. Number 9. Did you hear how Prudential dropped Will Smith as their spokesperson? Yes, he apparently misinterpreted their slogan, "Get a piece of the rock." What? Next. Number 8. Did you hear Will Smith's new adage? It goes, Sticks and stones may break my bones, but slapping rocks get you canceled. Next. Number 7. What did Chris Rock awake to find the day after the ceremony? He awoke to find his face had fresh prints. Next. Number 6. Did you hear the Academy's decision to, rather than remove Mr. Smith's Oscar, they're simply going to rename it? Yes, from now on it's going to be known as Oscar the Grouch. Next. Number 5. Heard the Academy's new plan to maintain order at their next ceremony? If they have one. Yes. Rather than hiring Chris Rock, they're going to be getting The Rock. Yeah, I'd like to see you take a swing at him. Go ahead. I want to see you do it. Next. Number 4. So supposedly after the awards ceremony, Will Smith's long-term friend Harry Connick Jr. to find out what the heck is going on. Even said to him, Will, why are you so bitter? Will said, I'm not bitter, just a tad jaded. Give it a couple days, you'll be using it. Next. Number 3. Did you hear Mr. Rock is, after all, going to be pressing charges on Mr. Smith? Thus, his new project is going to be labeled Men in Orange is the New Black. Next. Number 2. Did you hear Chris Rock's new show reboot concept? It's going to be called One Person Apparently Especially Hates Chris. Next. Oh, and before I do number 1, you know what I'm going to ask for. Yes, like, subscribe, forward, preferably not to Mr. Smith. I'm in enough trouble as it is. But anyway, all those little things I'm always asking you to do. And now, the number 1 Academy Award themed dad joke is, what did you think of Will Smith's impression of the Smokey Robinson classic? You didn't see his Tears of a Clown? Oh, yeah, that's right. I went there. Oh, and look, I have a bonus. Heard about Mr. Smith's new psychological thriller reboot starring Rebecca Romaine? It's going to be called The Hand That Cradles the Rock. And that is literally, not figuratively, all I have for you folks tonight. And remember, like, subscribe, forward, yada, blada. Please take this all in good fun, folks. It's what it was intended. Just like all the other comics out there trying to earn a living. Anyway, again, be good, be safe, be careful. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon.
There you go. That's my friend Thrash Pondo Ponds. Be sure to check him out. You'll find his link somewhere in the chat for this live stream. So who else can we check out? I saw my friend Jackie pop in. Greetings, Iron Dogger. My friend from Alaska. Good to see you in here. I know I'm a little ill tonight. Some of my other friends decided to do a live stream at the exact same time I did. You know who you are. Instead of joining me here. It kind of hurt my feelings. This is Jackie, Iron Dogger's channel.
Sunset going on. We're hanging out. You never gonna guess, wait. Does that tree line look familiar? 3 in the morning. There's Will, say hi. We're hanging out at the playground. Out in the middle of nowhere. Who doesn't want to get
Greetings, Rob.
Let's see if we can get a skit fireweed live put together. Alright, talk to you guys soon. Have a good night, tubers and splitters.
I love you, Jackie. I really do. Your videos are so cool. I tried to find the one where you did the imitation of me thing, but I could not find it. I was really wanting to play that one, but I should do a lot more prep for these live streams than I do. But like I said, right now, when the after show hits, I don't really know what I'm going to do, what I'm going to talk about. Greetings to my friend Bigfoot Michigan Rob, who just joined us in the chat. Bigfoot Michigan Rob, let me inform you that I was told today by our friend, my flock, that you're going to be on her show, I think on the 21st of next month, right? Guess what? I'm the co-host on that show. So Bigfoot Michigan Rob, be prepared. I'm probably going to ask you the hard questions. And I love Bigfoot Michigan Rob's channel. And let me give him the spotlight. Feel free to drop your link in the chat, Bigfoot Michigan Rob. And I hope it's okay that I'll whoop up one of your videos and show it here on my channel.
You know, there's probably 10 stories that I've got in queue, but I had to put this to the
I
top.
love this guy.
Because it seemed like I'm on the right plane with this one. Last night I was watching Space Style Radio. They had Dave Scott had Bettina Moss on from Crypto Normal Encounters with B Moss. Go subscribe to her on YouTube. Great channel. Subscribe to Dave Scott. So, they talk Dogman. So, I was going to do a Bigfoot story today, but you know what? The parallels of the universe came together, and I've got quite a story for you guys. I got this email this morning, so I thought it was only fitting. So here we go. This is about, was this Dogman or was this a werewolf? Hello, Rob. I've been a subscriber for some time now, and I have been very reluctant to tell this story. I did find it refreshing that you welcome all stories regardless of how far-fetched they may sound, and I appreciate your welcoming manner. This account took place 10 years ago in Wexford County, Michigan. And Rob, as you well know, this is the Dogman capital of our state. However, I'm not sure if this is a Dogman or a werewolf. I understand that when you read werewolf, you will probably disregard this encounter, but what I'm about to tell you is what I experienced and want to remain anonymous. I joined a group of people that went on a Bigfoot expedition in Wexford County, Michigan. I do not even want to disclose if this was a national or state park, just that it was in the woods in Wexford. The first part of the day was early morning on a Saturday, and we broke camp to explore. There was a group leader and 2 additional members accompanying us into the woods. When I say us, there was 7 people that signed up for this expedition, along with the 3 aforementioned researchers and trackers. We explored looking for evidence, tracks, structures, or any of the common traits that Bigfoot allegedly leaves behind. To our dismay, we found absolutely nothing. That morning, we started about 8 in the morning to roughly 4 p.m. when we decided to head back to camp. Back at camp, we unwound, made some dinner, and put together a plan of attack for going back right before dark. This is where the story goes ever so wrong. After an hour into our hike, it is now dark. The organizers of the outing had provided us a set of FLIR and night vision apparatus for us to share, along with basic lighting and other essentials. There is 10 of us in total, hiking through the woods off a trail that had been grown over a bit, making it somewhat difficult to walk. We were kind of spread out. Some of us managed to walk abreast of each other, while some of us traveled in single file. Then it happened. The forest grew still and eerily quiet. In fact, Some members of our group expressed fear and a feeling of dread. Just not the casual feeling prior to our hiking earlier today, which was more nonchalant and entertaining. Then in an instance, a creature that appeared to look humanoid jumped directly on the trail in front of us. When I mentioned humanoid, it was on 2 feet, stood maybe 7 feet tall, but the head looked like that of a wolf. It really reminded me of that movie from A Werewolf in London. It seemed to stand on the trail for about 5 seconds, then bolted off back into the tree line. This is not even the scariest part, Rob. I had mentioned there were 7 of us, and the 3 guides for the expedition equaling 10. After we saw this creature, we noticed there was only 9 of us left. We all became terrified and overwhelmed with fear as to where our missing person was. The leaders of the expedition called the property authorities, and a night search began to find our lost member. Nothing was found until early morning, and what we found puts chills down my spine. Right in the approximate area of the encounter, covered in brush, we discovered a neat pile of clothes, neatly folded and stacked, and these clothes appeared to be the clothes of the member that joined us on that uneventful night. I do not know what happened that night, nor what happened to our lost explorer. Did he turn into a werewolf that night? I told you, Rob, kind of unbelievable, and it's surely out there. If you happen to read this to your subscribers, I do appreciate it because I haven't uttered a word in over 10 years, and quite frankly, I am scared of the nighttime. Wow. You guys, I feel for this person that sent me the email. Thank you so much for that story. I don't know, what do you guys think? We all hear about missing people. I just had Steve Stockton on the other day talking about the missing and how clothes were neatly found alongside a trail. But this is a little different. The guy expresses that he sees a werewolf or a dog man. He said it looked like the werewolf from London. The clothes, isn't that creepy? You're right. They found it that morning. The guy's clothes neatly stacked together, folded in some brush in the area where they saw this creature. Take the story for what it's worth. I loved this story. I hope you did too. Subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Share this out with friends and family or whoever might be interested. And I will talk to you next week. Have a great Saturday.
Yeah, I love Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Man, I tell you what, dude. If you're still in the chat, man, your stories, they hit a spot with me when you do that. A lot of them give me chills, but that particular story, I played that for a reason. Because that one really gave me a chill. Because last year I was on an investigation where people actually said they saw a large werewolf-looking creature in the woods. And when I was on the investigation, I come around a corner and I saw what I could only describe as exactly looking like the thing from the American Werewolf in London. But the difference was when I saw this thing, Rob. Watch this video. You 30 people make the world today. Because you were with me. I had the camera running. And this is that video. I'm getting to your traffic now. Run the highway. That means my little wood track is almost over. Today, thought I saw something move down there. Let me know in the comments below if you see anything. Danny, this is Oh, fuck. Did something just move behind that tree right there, dog? Well, I hope I got that on camera. I swear, right when I come around, I thought I saw something duck. Let me know in the comments below if you saw anything ducking down over there. It's so far away, it's hard to tell. This camera has a really good zoom. That'd be 80 yards away and I can zoom to plug in on it. Unlike the other one I got, which does not zoom really well at all, YouTube. I keep thinking I see something move down there today. YouTube, there is something down there moving. That motherfucker is. Whoa, right there. Did you see it? Right in the middle of the screen a little bit. Whatever. What, there went again. God damn it. Whatever it is just so far the fuck away. It could be a deer. It could be anything. Hard to tell. Like I said, I've been in these damn woods all day. And it's about time for Danny Staten here. On the Danny Staten channel. To get the hell out of here. Yeah, the dogs in the neighborhood just went crazy, by the way. But like I said, if you see something that the Dirty Dan missed here on Danny Staten channel, please let me know in the comments below. As I tend to make videos on this channel just a little shorter than I do on the front. Whoa, there it goes. Are you seeing that, you do? There it goes. God damn, I hope I got that hairy motherfucker on camera. Did you see that? There he goes. Yeah, and here's the thing. As I come around the corner, Rob, when I come around the corner on that video, right before it started running, I got to look at it, and it was upright. It was up on it like hind legs, I would assume, and it looked like it was leaning. It was leaning against a tree, and it looked like it was maybe chased a squirrel in a tree or something. And right when I said that, it dropped down on all fours and took off. And I would only describe that sumbitch as exactly looking like the American Werewolf in freaking London. When it was at the end, when it was all wolfed out when they shot it. And it really freaked me out. And after talking to my friend Lockbeard and going over some stuff with some other guys, I kind of think it might have been a mutant canine or a mutant wolf. But it really did mess with me really bad when I saw that. And like I said, it's one of the things that makes me glad that I usually carry a gun when I'm in the woods. Everybody knows that. And I think I usually carry a gun just because I have encounters like that one sometimes. And I've had 2 or 3 weird encounters like that. And so I think I'm going to play something, if I can find it. And this was today, Rob. This is the one I put up today, in case you missed it. I'll show you this real quick.
Did you hear that, YouTube? Did that growly roar sound that I just heard pick up on camera? Let me know in the comments below.
And this happened this week.
And sometimes that's not even until I upload the video.
Some kids had said they had seen something, and I went to investigate.
Just now, too. I have to admit, I'm pretty racked out.
Yeah, I know. Lockbeard. He's still my friend, though. I respect everybody equally, no matter what their opinions are. Just because they have opinions don't mean I agree with them. looks like the, well, I swear I heard a fucking growl. Lots of disturbance on the ground right through here. And it looks like, I don't know if you can see that, it looks like the fence has been broke over a little bit and pushed down right here. I wonder if the sound the neighbors over there heard when they said that something got pushed down. I went, what the fuck? I wonder if the... That was weird. Oh, I'm being texted on my other phone. Never mind. I heard that boopity boop boop texty thing and it messed with me. Oh shit. Anyway, as I was noticing just now, look at this, YouTube. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm not going to touch it with my hands because I don't want to make a video for the other channel and show this. There's some fur or some dirty hair attached. Here. And look down there, a briar. A briar caught something. I'm not putting my nasty hands on it. I'll have to go back and get a paper sack or something and come back and maybe collect a hair sample to send to old Jeff. I bet Jeff would like to have a hair sample like that. I don't know if that's evidence of a bear. I don't know if that's evidence of a Bigfoot. I don't know what it is, but whatever it was, crushed this gate down. Looks like it was coming over, and when it slid down, the briars caught it here, and the fence caught it there. That's some impressive evidence for whatever the hell come through here. I'm looking around to see if anything else is going on. So, Rob, what do you think about that? I actually collected 3 different hair samples from that spot today. Well, not today, but the day it happened. And I put the hair samples in envelopes. I'm going to send one to a guy who does research. And I'm going to take the other one to the zoo at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon at the zoo. And I'm going to meet with a zoologist and a primatologist and have them examine the hair. The third sample I kind of played with a little bit. And I actually touched it, so I can't use it for nothing like that. But here's the funny part. If you know anything about animals, they have a musty animal smell. You know, have you ever been to the zoo and smelt the animal smell? Well, this didn't have the musty animal smell. This hair smells like raw sewage. It smells horrible. And that kind of leads me to believe that the kids might have saw something different. You can watch the videos back where I tell the whole story. Some kids saw something in the woods, and I went to check it out. And matter of fact, it's less than 300 yards from where I live. If you watch the other video where I had that weird stuff happening here in the backyard that time, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's one of the reasons I sit here and do the stream with the camera facing the woods down there is I occasionally have some kind of weird activity going on around here. But once again, I would love to have one of the weird encounter videos pulled up, but I did not save that for this show. I will do that for next time, and I'll have some really cool videos. I'll find that video where I saw the glowy demon-y thing and caught that on camera, and I'll play that too. But right now I'm going to chill out for a minute, hit a big old bowl, relax, and pull that Tubers and Cheapers things. And when I'm doing that, y'all can check out this. Well, we'll check it out together.
Like a man that's been crossed with a bear. Deep in the unknown, far away from home, something
Thank you, Melanie Page.
The size of his feet. Deep in my soul, I had a terrible hunch that I had a date with the monster for lunch. I never found out if the hunch was correct. Something occurred that I did not expect. Before I knew what was going on with the few giant steps, the monster was gone. Now I'm not the type to leave someone scared, but let me tell you, it's out there somewhere.
You know, I love the Bigfoot songs. Thank you, ma'am. Melanie Page, I believe that name is. I appreciate that. I try to do something really cool most of the time.
Bears. Find your signature
And I
song
do play
at
a few commercials once in a
signaturehighway.com.
while. I love music though, and I try to find the Bigfoot tunes. Some of this stuff I bet Rob never heard.
Deep in the woods where the mysteries grow, there is a place where nobody goes. And if you decide to go there alone, beware of the beast that makes it his own. The legends all say that a creature lives there with gigantic feet all covered in hair. And those who have seen it just run away scared. It looks like a man that's been crossed with a bear. Deep in the unknown, far away from home, something strange just can't be explained. Be careful where you roam. Late in the night, I was on my way home, but something told me that I was not alone. Suddenly there, I was caught by surprise. The beast had appeared right before my two eyes. In front of me, there was a ginormous shape. It stood like a man, but it looked like an ape. Looking back now, I get a terrible fright. I saw the monster in the moonlight. Deep in the unknown, far away from home, something strange just can't be explained. Be careful where you roam. I'll never forget what I saw there that night. Some things you see get stuck in your mind. My brain said to run, but my body did freeze. I'll never forget the size of his feet. Deep in my soul, I had a terrible hunch.
Deep in the Woods by Drew Thomas.
Monster for lunch. I never found out if the hunch was correct. 'Cause something occurred that I did not expect. Before I knew what was going on with the few giant steps, the monster was gone. Now I'm not the type to leave someone scared, but let me tell you, it's out there somewhere.
Hey, you like that, huh, Jackie? It's Drew Thomas, Deep in the Woods. I always liked that song. I really did. I got a bunch of them songs like that, actually. A lot of them people hadn't heard. I'm going to try to save some of them for the next time. I was looking for something real quick. Anybody know Midwest Bigfoot researchers? I love this channel too. It's really cool. Check this out.
Just another quick video message for the Daily Dan blog on 11/7/21 on your video. Unknown creature leaves strange evidence on 11/5/21. Dan, I saw a few things on your video. I don't know if that little bit of wood
I like this guy.
your house is attached to any more woods or has another way for something to get in there that maybe followed you home from some other woods. Go back there and poke a stick on whatever this is on 706 on the video. It looks like something's standing back there. Maybe it's something else. Go back there and check, would you? Something's definitely back there. Thanks, Dan.
Whenever he finds something on my videos, he don't like send me an email or something. He'll make a video and put it up talking about it. And I love that. That's just so cool to me. I'm glad the storm finally blew over. We had a really bad storm here all day long. I was so afraid that it was going to be going on when I tried to do this show tonight. And I also have to apologize to y'all as I ain't got the fancy laptops and computers yet and all that stuff. I'm kind of doing the show hillbilly style, one phone to another and stuff like that. I promise you it'll get better as time goes on. I just started this. This is only like my 5th show, and I'm still getting used to doing stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm doing the best I can, and I promise that in the future I'll have a really professional looking show with the green screen and all that cool stuff, and I'll probably do a lot of shows on the road when I finally hit the road next year. That's right. I'm planning on buying one of them big old Winnebagos and traveling from place to place all across this great country, making videos and looking for sightings and investigating stuff. Now a brief
Jack Link's Beef Jerky presents
sponsor message.
Messing with Sasquatch. Jack Link's Jerky. Feed your wilds. Jack Link's Beef Jerky presents Messing with Sasquatch. Ding dong! Jack Link's Jerky. Feed your wild side.
Jack Link's Beef Jerky presents Messin' with Sasquatch.
Ready? Here you go.
Hey, big guy, you want to play with us? I'm going to put this ball right here, and you run up and give it a big old kick. Right over that mountain there. Big old kick. Come on. Jack Link's Jerky. Feed your wild side. Jack Link's Beef Jerky presents Messin' with Sasquatch.
Hey, look. Check this out. Hey, buddy, try this. It's real good. You can do it. Come on. Yeah, try the boat. Come on. Yeah, try. Yum, yum.
Jack Link's Jerky. Feed your wild side.
Y'all like that? A little trip from the sponsor kind of
Jack
thing?
Link's Beef Jerky presents Messin' with Sasquatch.
I kind of like them too. I love them Jack Link's commercials. And I appreciate everybody coming into the chat. And I really especially appreciate people like Thrash Pondo, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and my friend Jackie from Alaska. It means a lot to me that y'all come by and hang out for a little bit. I don't know if any of y'all know it. I have another channel called Daily Dan's The Good Stuff. And every once in a while on a Saturday when I get a wild hair up my butt, I'll do a Sasquatch Saturday episode. Has anybody ever seen any of them? I bet Bigfoot Michigan Rob hadn't. Let's see what. If I can get one going on. And what I'm going to do is play for you one of my Sasquatch Saturday episodes. Let y'all get back and relax and enjoy one of them. This is kind of especially for Rob because I know he probably never seen one.
The appeal to me of the Bigfoot topic is the consistency of accounts of it throughout legends and folklore and literature, and even previous to any photographic evidence of it.
There is an animal out here. Nobody seems to know what it is. How do we study that and make it a reality?
The documents are still there waiting in the file in courthouses and libraries and historical societies, and these stories need to be researched again.
If you went down and talked to farmers on that road today, they're probably similar to what people are reporting in that area today.
We had been out there investigating repeated sightings, screams, and the glowing eye incidents.
A lot of these creatures generally range from 6 to about 9 feet tall, sometimes very broad-shouldered, very long arms, sometimes extending down beyond the knees, almost to the ground in some cases.
I'm one of those individuals that tend to think there's a different kind of hairy creature in the South that's more chimpanzees-like. It is the Stargate, but there are equal number of sightings in Louisiana, in Mississippi, in Oklahoma, in Texas, Southeast Texas.
People misconstrue what we're trying to do. We're not trying to prove Bigfoot's real. Everybody in the Olympic Project pretty much has had an experience or a sighting, and we're kind of in the knowing camp. We're trying to do as much documentation as we can of evidence, and what we're trying to do is develop patterns over time. Then we might start being able to work towards predictability.
I'm going through these alcohol quick tonight. Let me go mix another drink.
Some of the photos that I got of the Bigfoot that was lurking around here, and he makes this as his home. And here's a picture of him right here, and that camera, the camera right there, is 7 foot from that camera right here. So that's pretty clear and pretty close. And this is a picture of him. He's sneaking in right here.
Thanks, Uncle Bones.
This here is a picture blowed up of him. This is a picture blowed up of him. You see this one here?
here, and that's his face, and this is his face blowed up. And then this one here, this is where he's standing right here where I'm at almost. This one. Oh, this is a different picture of another Bigfoot that I got right over there. See this here, right here? That's what it looked like there, and then there he is right there. See that? That's not a guy with a hoodie on with a baseball cap walking around in the woods being a ding-dong. Okay? Now here's the big shit. He took a big shit down on my trail. Stepped in it. I wonder if that's a warning. Any of you guys think that's a warning? Let me know. Okay? Now this is a picture of his shoulder right over there. Of that one that was right here. Okay? Now this picture here is of the Hobbit Hunter, and you can see how high his shoulder is on the Hobbit Hunter. You see that? Comes up to the top of his head. Right? That's, you can call it a mysterious picture. There's a few mysterious pictures in here. That's a cat at night. Now these are some of the night pictures.
So how goes the search through the mysterious box?
At this point, it's giving me a lot more questions than answers, to be honest with you.
James Erickson. You knew my grandfather, Frank Erickson?
This 925 acres that my father purchased years ago is cut through the middle by the Solitude River.
Maybe my mom was keeping me at arm's length for a reason. She always told me my dad died in a car accident. My dad died right on that property. It's a drawing my mother made. Do you remember what the monster looked like?
Can tell you one thing. The magic that's been keeping this creature at bay for 400 years is about to come to an end.
As many warnings as there are about this place, you'd think people would stay away.
Right down by my house. Well, this is one right here. Something was coming out right here when I had the barbed wire on this place, so I could try and get some hair. That was the great brainstorm to put barbed wire on here to try and get some hair off them. not this picture. What's this here? You see these branches here? Is that King Arthur? I don't know, but they show up like that. And this here's a picture of a face. You see that picture?
Don't know how original, but.
And the same one.
Oh, did I say
Now,
that?
here's some of the players.
Damn Tourette's.
The players are the guys or the gals. That's the Hobbit Hunter. He's out there on a expedition.
Gather around the campfire, you little bastards. Grandpa wants to sing you a song. Since your loser parents stuck you with me for the weekend, we might as well make the best of it.
And I had to throw this on here. This guy's called Michael Harper, and he really made me ill one day. So I did this video just for him.
I fucked the Sasquatch that night. I fucked the Sasquatch that night. Up on the mountain, way up high, where the trees meet the sky. I fucked the Sasquatch. I fucked that furry Bigfoot's ass. Well, Mother Nature.
That's why this is a late night show, right?
Sing along, you little bastards. I fucked the Sasquatch that night. Sweaty Yeti pussy is warm, moist, sweet and tight. I fucked the Sasquatch while a voyeuristic elf jacked off and watched. Alright, I fucked the Sasquatch that night. That Bigfoot bitch, she sat upon my face. She had such a sweet, succulent, gamey taste. My cock was hard.
I didn't write the damn song.
On and on, I fucked that sweaty Yeti.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have played this, right?
The Sasquatch that
Oh well.
night. Wonder what the one this monster.
Because on the replay, people will be like, what the hell?
I fucked the Sasquatch that night.
I hope Michael Harper don't watch it.
South Carolina, way down yonder, there's a big old critter that likes to wander around my backyard.
Anyway, that was one of my episodes of Sasquatch Saturday from Daddy Dan's The Good Stuff, and I promise most of them are a lot better than that one. So YouTube, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, he laughing his ass off. Yeah, I thought you'd find that really funny. Hey, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, have you ever heard this one?
When the moon hangs high on the breast of the lake, in the bite of the wind is like a slap in the face. A legend of horror lurks in the haze. It's Bigfoot. A giant of a creature, all covered with hair.
That's why I put the camera on so people can see. 'Cause I heard something weird too.
There's a bear. Y'all better not go walking out there with Bigfoot. Bigfoot's coming, gonna get you, gonna get you. Bigfoot's coming, so you better watch out. Lock your doors and put your windows. Bigfoot's all around. Bigfoot's coming, gonna get you, gonna get you. Bigfoot's coming, so you better watch out. Lock your doors and put your windows.
Sorry.
Monster 10 feet tall, called Bigfoot. From the tales of the traders and trappers to the image on Indian walls. From the Bear Paw Mountains of Montana to the sides of the Great Shasta Stars. From the Flatheads to Blackfeet and the Shoshones. He must have seen them all. And when the sun goes down in the northwest woods, if you listen, you can hear him call. Bigfoot's coming, gonna get you, gonna get you. Bigfoot's coming, so you better watch out. Lock your doors, don't you windows. Bigfoot's on the ground. Bigfoot's coming, gonna get you, gonna get you. Bigfoot's coming, so you better watch out. Lock your doors and don't you windows. Bigfoot's on the ground. Bigfoot's on the ground.
Yeah, Rob, after I do my main show, and if you watch it back later, I hope you do, you'll see this lady talk about Bigfoot in Native American history, and I showed the lecture. But after the show's over, for this time right here, I like to play music, show some videos, and kind of goof around. I call it night flights. And the night flights take off right after the show, and I hang around as long as some people's on here hanging out with me. I play some music, play some videos, and find some cool stuff. And I love playing stuff people has never heard. That was Bro Smith. It come out in 1976. And the title of the song is called Bigfoot. Hey, Rob, you ever heard this one?
This is called Eagle Mount Road. Out in the hills you can hear the coyotes cry. Thunder and lightning red through the sky. Up around the bend and Granddaddy Road in. You think you're all alone, but there's something in the trees. Something so dangerous it'll bring you to your knees. You fire with your rifle, the barrel's still hot, and now comes a Sasquatch from hell. Breath breathing, firing hot. Up on Eagle Mountain Road, my granddaddy fought a Sasquatch, I am told. Up on Eagle Mountain Road, my granddaddy fought a Sasquatch, I am told.
How'd you like that one, Rob? Have you heard that one before? That's always been one of my favorites. I do a lot of other music too. I don't just do Bigfoot songs. Sometimes I'll spin a popular tune or something. Sometimes I'll say something completely different. Like, how many people ever saw Yoshi's dad fight Bigfoot? People from the Torsi stream are getting a kick out of this. I call it Yoshi's dad versus Bigfoot. You know, anytime you can mix Bigfoot up with wrestling, you're doing something cool, right? Because I'm a wrestling guy. Y'all get it? If I can find it, hold on for a minute. Let me get this set right. Hold on. Hold on. Everybody here, yeah, Jackie and everybody knows that Mongolian Monster Russell just had this thing called Mogfest, and everybody went down and hung out with Mogs on the rim, and there's a lot of drama going on surrounding that. And I'm not going to go into it, and I'm not even going to discuss it because I done been cussed out over it, my opinions about stuff. But anyway, I thought I'd throw this on here for Jackie, and I know she'll get a kick out of this. This is what happened when Mogs found Bigfoot. And that was what happened when Moggs found Bigfoot. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Hey, Jackie, what'd you think? Was it funny? Let me know in the comments below. So y'all enjoying my little show? Did you like it a lot? We're still kicking it off. We want to play something else, right? How about another episode of Sasquatch Saturday? If I can get this damn camera to cooperate with me tonight. Yeah. My camera is not cooperating. Y'all have to forgive that. Okay. This is a good one.
He took me to what Indians called the land of petrified wood. There, carved in rock, were drawings of a creature with big hands and big feet, exactly as I'd heard Bigfoot described. The drawings were 700 years old. They told how creatures the Indians called stickmen had come in the night and stolen the Indian children. The Indians abandoned the village in fear. First the ranch, now my brother-in-law. My head was reeling with Bigfoot. Yeah, the stories are just so many words. So I soon forgot about it, till I was up tracking a mountain pipe. And I found these tracks. Now, they looked much like human footprints, but they were 18 inches long, 6.5 across the ball of the foot, 5.5 at the heel. They were the hugest I'd ever seen. Tracks were so deep, they had to have been made by at least a 500-pound animal. And the hair, they couldn't identify it. The toe prints were spread around small rocks and dug into the earth, showing whatever made them could cover pretty rugged country. And the stride was enormous, 52 inches in length. Man's only 30. They were fakes. Somebody would have had to drag a pretty big machine over pretty rough country to make them, and they would have left their own tracks. I saw where a creature had stumbled with a handprint, but no sign of
Really?
claws. It was so man-like. I was mystified, so I made plaster casts and sent them with the hair to the lab for analysis. Well, I tell you, I was glad to get home. Our pups were growing, and they didn't give us much time to think about everything that had happened.
bear up north. This time, I wasn't so eager to return to the mountains. Tests had shown the hair samples and tracks couldn't be matched with any known animal.
Was this thing? No one is quite sure. The skeleton of a mystery animal was found recently by workers in eastern Turkey. It's about 1 meter long and has predatory teeth, as well as especially long hind limbs and nails instead of hooves. The work crew contacted researchers from a nearby university who are going to run tests on the mysterious bones. There's some undecayed tissue remaining on them, which may allow for a DNA analysis. The area where the skeleton was unearthed hadn't seen much use in the past 30 to 40 years, so there's no record so far of how the thing got there. The head of the excavation crew told a Turkish news agency that he hopes the find will be useful to science. No doubt it will be. The researcher responsible for determining the species of the creature says the skeleton will find a new final resting place in a museum, whatever it ends up being.
Hey, it's been a crazy night around here. If I was hearing anything else besides dogs bark, I'd walk down there and look around. But they could be barking at a deer or anything.
Thousands of years ago, on what was once the Bering Straits land bridge, which linked Russia to Alaska. In support of this theory, there is the evidence of Bigfoot's continuous presence in Indian history, appearing in various forms on totem poles and paintings, and being called by different names, like Gilwick, Selatic, Oma, Bukwas, and Sasquatch. Part of the North American Indians'
footprints whose great size, he wrote, could not have been made by bears. And in July of 1884, a British Columbia newspaper carried the account of the capture of a creature. A creature they called Jacko, whose description fits that of a young Bigfoot. Another early account of Bigfoot in America comes from President Theodore Roosevelt in a book he wrote about his days out west. The true story concerns two trappers on the Salmon River. It was in 1852. The trappers encountered the creature. Violence followed. One of the men was killed. Roosevelt wrote that he believed the story. In 1924, in British Columbia, the vacationing prospector Albert Ostman reported that he was captured and held prisoner by a family of 4 Bigfoot creatures. Ostman's incredible tale included observations that one scientist felt could only have come from a direct encounter with a large primate species. Ostman signed an affidavit before his death attesting to the truthfulness of his story. That same year in Washington State, Fred Beck and 4 other miners reported they shot at 2 different Bigfoot creatures. Later, Beck and his friends were attacked by an angry group of Bigfoot giants who tried to destroy their cabin by rolling large boulders onto the roof. These and other accounts make up the long history of man's experience with Bigfoot in the forests of America.
I say, well, you call it what you want to call it. I know what I saw. When it screams, or when it makes this call, halfway between a woman screaming and metal being dragged down a street, a real grating sound with a really high treble.
discovery the world has ever seen.
So you might say that Bigfoot is part man, part legend, part entertainment. Whether it is part man, part legend, or part entertainment, the images of Bigfoot around the Northwest are easy to find, aren't they? But then again, so too are the people who say they've seen one, a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch, whether it's out in the woods or in the suburbs. But here's a question for you. If Bigfoot does exist, why should we care? That's a question best asked of Renee DeHinden.
At one time, back in 50s and 60s, when all these footprints were found in Northern California, we thought one of them would pop from behind the tree any day.
Renee has had 3 decades to test his faith in Bigfoot.
There was one year, I think it was 1979. Yeah, I think so. I was gone for 9 months.
He's lost track of how many thousands of miles he's covered searching the West, Northwestern Canada with a camera and a gun. Renee lives in a trailer at the Vancouver Gun Club in British Columbia. It's what he has to show for 32 years of work.
Of course I would like to have $100,000 house. You know why? So I could sell the damn things and go Sasquatch hunting with that money.
What isn't in his Bigfoot book collection can be found in the lists of reported sightings in cardboard boxes, or in a copy of the now famous Patterson-Gimlin film, taken by Bigfoot hunter Roger Patterson in October of 1967.
When this creature is walking, it takes steps, and it lifts its foot so high that it is straight up and down. We could learn so much from this.
But we don't, Renee says.
What frustrates me more than anything that there are so few good researchers. There's somebody reporting a Sasquatch hitchhiking on Interstate Park. Hello.
Vito Quarenta is one of those researchers.
I know there's something out there. That's why I'm continuing to do this, and hopefully we'll find out.
Quarenta has been checking out reported sightings of Sasquatch for 3 years, whether it's on foot or on wheels here in the heart of suburbia in Bellevue, Washington.
Well, when I drive through a neighborhood, I'm not looking for anything during the day. I'm showing, usually I'm showing something, but at night, we will survey or take surveillance of an area and watch for anything out of the ordinary.
Anything like footprints, reports of a strange howling, or a sighting in an area new to man, but not, he says, to Bigfoot.
We've got some surveillance in the neighborhood in the form of cameras, and we're taking time, which could even mean a couple of years, to keep a track, because they've had a past history over the 20 or 25 years of sightings and occurrences.
In fact, Quarenta has helped put together a map showing the location and the type of those occurrences.
Yeah, Rob, you still here?
I don't feel any need to convince people that it's here at all.
Just a need to continue the search here in the heart of suburbia. John Yeager, News 4, Positively Northwest.
I think he made this video and don't even remember this part.
We both knew what we'd seen. I said, what is it after that? Because I was so scared. And she said, well, whatever it is, we're not going to follow it. Can't expect any of these occurrences to happen during the daylight hours. Everything happens after dark.
I wouldn't go out at night in the dark, because I would never know when it was there if it came here.
Photographer Ivan Marks claims these are pictures taken of Bigfoot near Snowy Mountain in remote Northern California. They are courtesy Amazing Horizons of Sunnyvale, California, from the movie In the Shadow of Sasquatch. But are they real? Or are they, as Bigfoot hunter Renee DeHinden claims, pathetic fakes?
So by doing this, analyzing each frame,
DeHinden has studied another film, the Patterson-Gimlin film,
Good
shot
to
on
see you,
October
Uncle Bones.
21st,
Good to see you.
1967, in the wilds of Bluff Creek, California. He has offered $10,000 to anyone who can prove it is a fake.
We were in that area searching for Bigfoot, and we was riding up this creek bed.
Yakima truck driver Bob Gimlin can vouch for the film. He was there.
As we came around this bend in the creek bed there, we saw this creature standing by the creek, and Roger ran across the creek, trying to get attempting to get the camera up to his eye to get the picture of this thing.
You know what you saw then?
I know exactly what I saw, and till I die, I know there's nobody can ever convince me that it was a man in a suit.
For years it was thought that if they wanted to find any sign of Sasquatch or even any reported sightings of Bigfoot, you had to go way into the wilderness, far away from any signs of man. Well, according to one researcher, that's not the case anymore. He says that Bigfoot has gone suburban. And so that's where Vito Quarenta does his research.
Right, we're no more than actually a few hundred yards from the freeway, about a quarter mile from two semi-large shopping centers, 10 minutes from Seattle, and 5 minutes from Bellevue.
Where since 1981, there have been numerous reported sightings.
If you take a look at this one house.
In fact, he says, some neighbors here on Eastgate Drive in Bellevue have gone so far as to post no trespassing signs, as though the hairy intruder could read. Down the block, Joe Downham has installed 10 feet of chicken wire on top of the fence he already has in his backyard.
I actually saw someone at the window. I thought it was a man, and it was a lighted window. It was very bright moonlight night.
Joe remembers the hot summer night back in 1981 when he first saw what he thinks was a pair of Sasquatch in his neighbor's backyard.
It was some sort of animal. It was all covered with fur, and it was looking through the gap in the very light yellow curtains. I looked at it. It turned its head to the left 3 times, and on the third occasion, another one came up and stood by it, and it looked very intently at me like that, a kind of grimacing expression. And then it turned and went about 15 feet away and lifted back its head like that and stretched its arms out to the side and made this peculiar sound, very loud, a short rising and long falling mournful note, something like a wolf.
A really high treble. It makes your skin crawl.
Before July 27th, 1987, Keith Hartley had heard that sound, but on that night, he and his wife Cindy were sitting in his Volkswagen Bug in her parents' driveway in nearby Kirkland, just talking.
And as I got up on the road, we both stopped talking and stared because of the sheer size of it.
I never walked past there.
Oh, that
Their
busted
head
me
was
good.
higher than those bands, and those bands were 7 feet.
The couple admits they were skeptical before the sighting.
You just think that animal does exist, and you don't. It doesn't seem so no, anymore. It's real, and you just don't worry about it too much anymore.
The Hartleys live in Ellensburg now. They attend Central Washington University. And while Cindy doesn't care if she sees another Sasquatch, Keith does. Just after that July night, he and a friend traveled down to the Blue Mountains near Walla Walla, where there have been numerous reported sightings. It was there, he says, he heard that sound again, one he would never forget.
It makes your skin crawl.
John Yeager, News 4, Positively Northwest.
You've been watching an episode of Sasquatch Saturday, my little show that I do on Daily Dan's The Good Stuff. You'll find the link in the chat if you've missed it. So what do you say? Wait, it's getting late. I guess it's about time for a Daily Dan to hang it up, maybe? Maybe I'll play a few more songs and kind of hang out because the dogs are going crazy. I might walk down there before I decide to hang it up and check things out. This is my friend, Marty, the guy they call Warhorse, the Turkey Outlaw Channel. That's right, YouTube. It's late at night. You've been watching 13 o'clock live with Daddy Dan. I'm Daddy Dan. Danny Staten here on the Daddy Dan blog. I love saying that. I appreciate everybody joining me tonight. I'm going to hang out for a little while and spin a tune. I'm going to walk down there and look around, I think, before I finally crash it in. This show's run a lot longer than I normally run, though. It has. And I appreciate the guys who come in and stuck with me for this long show tonight. And I am getting battery warnings, maybe. Eek. So I probably won't be on that much longer. This is Islam Alefa.
And
Hey, John, be sure to start the show from the beginning later and check out the start of it. I love this song too, but I wish they'd let me play the original. But if I played the original song by 4 Non Blondes, I'd get a copyright for sure. These guys are friends of mine who let me use their music on my channel. So this is used with permission. And the coolest part is they let me use their music. That's one of my favorite songs. It really is. I really love the 4 Non Blondes version of that song. But these guys are cool too. I think they're awesome. And the most awesome part about these guys is they are friends of mine and they do let me use their music. I swear it's been a creepy night around here. Some dogs have been going crazy out there. And hey, John Dude, the new guy, if you check out the video I put up today on the Daily Damn blog, you can find out some of the creepy stuff been going on around my neighborhood.